Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. It's your number one foundation coming today with another one of these intriguing FIFA 18 experiments. And today, April 26th of 2018, is the start of the NFL draft. Yes, the other football. And it got me to thinking, what would it be like if the Premier League actually had a draft? And for you guys who don't know how the NFL draft works, it pretty much goes something a little bit like this. So in American football, to ensure that terrible teams don't stay terrible forever, the teams with the worst record from the previous season get to go ahead and have higher picks in the draft. Theoretically, this means they'll have the best chance at getting, higher end talent. So we are basing it off of that system, and let's just say, hypothetically, that the Premier League was like the only league and there wasn't any like relegation or promotion or any of that stuff. If they could go ahead and draft the best young players that the world had to offer, what would the league look like? So that's what I have done today. I've went ahead and I've reversed the order from where they currently are in the Premier League season as of April 26, 2018, which means West Brom is going to have the number one pick in the 2018 Premier League draft. Now, the players that are qualified to be drafted onto your team, one, they can't already be on a team in the Premier League, and two, I'm going to put an age limit on it. They have to be 22 or under. The reason why I did this is 22 is about the average age of a player entering into the NFL. And if I were to include all leagues outside of the Premier League, it would have been like crazy. Like Ronaldo and Messi would have gone like number one or all that stuff. Who would go number one overall? Let's start that flame war. Now, I don't know every single Premier League in and out. I don't know their specific needs and that kind of stuff. I'm just basing this off of the ratings that, FIFA Career Mode has given us. So what we're going to do 2 rounds of drafting. So each team in the Premier League is going to be adding 2 young talented players to the roster. Then we're going to go ahead and sim it up and see if it actually shakes up anything, if it does create a little bit more of parity in the league. This, I feel like, is the fairest way of distributing talent to keep all teams competitive. So it'll be interesting to see this model. But without further ado, West Brom is now on the clock. Now, if we take a look at West Brom's current starting roster, you can see that the lowest rated player is Higazi. But since this is the very first pick overall, I think it's a no-brainer. You gotta go best player available. So with the first pick of the 2018 Premier League draft, West Brom is gonna go ahead and select one Mbappe. He's gonna go up right there. I don't know how much you guys have seen in like the NFL and the NBA, but if you get drafted, it's kind of a cool process. You get to stand up on stage, you get to have a hug with the commissioner, and then you hold up the jersey. Close your eyes and imagine that for Mbappe in a West Brom jersey right now. And with that, Stoke City is on the clock with the second overall pick. Their defense is decent with Martin Zindi, Shawcross, and Butland back there in between the sticks. So I think getting a replacement, and it lines up with the other best player that is still available overall. We're going to go ahead, and with the second pick, Stoke City is going to select Ousmane Dembele from Barcelona. Now with that, Southampton is on the clock. It's tough seeing Southampton in the bottom 3, I must say. They've been brilliant at producing talent through the years and selling it off for, very high-end profit. I was tempted to maybe go Donnarumma right here and upgrade over Fraser Forster, but I kind of like Forster as a keeper. So we're going to go a little bit of a different route. We're going to take the second highest rated striker in the game. Goals are hard to get. And we're going to go Timo Werner of RB Leipzig, and he's going to be the 3rd overall pick in the 2018 draft. And with that, Swansea is now on the clock. Swansea is another side that I could have gone a number of ways. The back line is not very good. Fabianski is decent, so probably no Donnarumma over here, but I just feel like they have been needing a playmaker since they lost Sigurdsson, and that's kind of what's made them rudderless this season. So we're going with the Real Madrid wonderkin with the 4th overall pick. Asensio is going to come on in. Now Huddersfield is on the clock. All right, Huddersfield, one of the weaker sides in the league on paper, and I think they're just going to go best player overall. It's a team that logically needs an upgrade at keeper, and hopefully the addition of Donnarumma with the 5th pick overall can keep them afloat and steady in the Premier League for many years to come. And with that, West Ham is now on the clock. And with West Ham, I'm going to go ahead and shore up their back line. Yes, I'm going to be taking the first center back to be selected in this year's draft, and we're going to go with Nicolas Sula out of Bayern Munich. All right, Crystal Palace now on the clock. Now, this Crystal Palace team, it has a couple of interesting pieces going forward. Zaha's had a really good season. Townsend's decent on the wing. And there are a lot of great young players still on the board available, but there's a glaring need in this team. and that is at keeper. Well, Hennessy's a 73. I think their second highest is rated like a 74. So this is going to be a little bit of a reach here, but with their pick, Crystal Palace is going to go ahead and select Albin Lafont. With that, Brighton is now on the clock. Brighton is also not one of the more talented teams in the league. They got a decent end keeper back there in Ryan, but beyond that, they got a couple of players that are interesting, but maybe just not the greatest end potential. So they're going to go best player overall, and they are shocked to find one of the best youngsters still available in Thomas Lemar. He can't play out on the wing, but we're going to slot him in at the cam position. He's going to be a playmaker, hopefully being the engine for this Brighton team. And now Watford is on the clock. They've been kind of overperforming this season. They got a good youngster in Richarlison out there on the left side. Their midfield is athletic, and they got a pretty good keeper. So let's go ahead, let's find a center back pairing with Prodel over here and get one of the best young center backs in the world. That is De Ligt from Ajax. Now Bournemouth is on the clock. With the 10th overall pick, Bournemouth can go a number of directions right here. They got a good young promising player, and Cook Wilson seems to be recovering from that ACL injury. King is an interesting player going forward. Jordan Ibe is a promising young player as well. With the 10th overall pick, with this much talent still on the board, they're gonna try for the home run over here. They're gonna go for Malcolm out of Bordeaux. And now Newcastle is on the clock, and Newcastle cannot believe their luck. They're going to run up to that podium, and they're going to turn in their card, and they are going to take the best available player, and that is in the form of a center mid by the name of Milinko Savic. 6'3", incredible talent, can boss it, can pretty much do it all. He's the white Pogba, and Newcastle fans are overjoyed. Really good steal at the 11th pick. And now Leicester City is on the clock. Leicester City is an interesting side. They have fallen back to earth since their championship run about 2 years ago, so I thought about giving them a replacement for N'Golo Kante, but there's one prospect on the board that I would love to see Jamie Vardy play alongside. With their counter-attacking style, I think this young winger right here, Gelson Martins, 94 sprint speed, 87 stamina. If Ndidi can continue to develop, this counter-attacking side might be the most threatening in the Premier League. And with that, Everton is now on the clock. They've really struggled to find a replacement for goals after Lukaku left, and I did kind of take a look around at possible strikers that we could put in here in place of Tosin, but with no real knock-it-out-of-the-park prospect at the striker position still available on the board. I think what we're going to do right here is we're going to go try to strengthen the spine of Everton. And Everton is going to go ahead and select Corentin Tolisso from Bayern Munich. And with that, Burnley is now on the clock. Burnley's a pretty even side. They've overperformed this season, so I think they're just going to go best player still available on the board. And in my opinion, the best player there is Leon Bailey. He's lightning quick. He's been tearing it up in the Bundesliga. I know the strikers aren't the strongest in the team, but as I said, it's kind of a weak class and out-and-out strikers, so we're going to go with Leon Bailey. Of that, now Arsenal is on the clock. It's a very strong team. If you take a look at it right here, I think a lot of people are familiar with this Arsenal roster and where it has weaknesses. Left back is probably the weakest position on the team, but there aren't any, I would say, world beaters at left back available. So instead, we're going to go to the midfield. I think, no one's going to really argue with Ozil. Xhaka's had a decent end season, and Ramsey is good but inconsistent. I think bringing in a player that they've actually been linked with in real life, this just kind of lines up perfectly, and we're going to bring in Saul from Atletico Madrid right here. He's already 84 rated overall, can play multiple positions in the field, is great defensively, is great going forward, can make all the little tight passes, fits in very well. Maybe in a couple of years, Diego Simeone actually comes over and coaches this team. Maybe I'm reading too much into it, but I think this is an amazing pick for Arsenal, and it's a great player for them to go ahead and snag at the 15th overall pick. There are a lot of reasons why Chelsea regressed this season. You can blame the loss of Diego Costa, was definitely played a huge part. Morata, has not lived up to it. But once again, a lot of the top strikers have been taken, and above that, it is very clear that the system runs on a big, tall, target man type striker to be up top, and there's just not that many of them in the younger leagues. So the only guy that you could really target on the side is Cesc Fabregas, who's all the way up at age 30. I think they start going ahead and grooming them and bringing a young dynamic player by the name of Naby Keita. I know he's technically supposed to go to Liverpool, and by the way, he's going to kill it at Liverpool next year. But for funsies' sake, we're going to go ahead and place Naby Keita into this Chelsea side. And with that, Tottenham Hotspurs is now on the clock. And Tottenham is an extremely talented team. You could argue probably maybe the second most talented squad in the league. Every single position is an 80 or higher, just like Chelsea. The weakest position on their team is young Trippier, who's highly rated, but Spurs are going to go ahead and get a massive upgrade right here with arguably the best right back in the world right now, and that is Joshua Kimmich. I think Spurs fans have to be insanely happy that Joshua Kimmich lasted all the way to the 17th pick. He's probably top 10 if you're going to rate, players that are 22 and under. But he lasted this long because fullbacks are a little bit of a luxury pick. And with that, the darlings of the season, Liverpool, are now on the clock. All right, they're absolutely killing it. This front three, untouchable. Spectacular. Hendo is the captain, but I just don't think Henderson is a game changer. And then with the 18th overall pick, they're going to upgrade to a more dynamic version of Henderson in the midfield. They're going to go ahead and select Goretzka. Comes from the Bundesliga. There's that connection with Klopp, who used to coach over at Dortmund. Goretzka played for the rival team, so he's very familiar with them. He's another one of those guys who can truly do it all. You can play him at CDM position, CM. Hell, you can probably play him at Cam. Extremely strong, extremely powerful. He'll do well. And with that, Manchester United is now on the clock. Take a look at this side. There's hundreds of millions invested, especially going forward. So I think that's pretty much untouchable. There's definitely questions about the back line. David De Gea is one of the best players in the world. He deserves better in front of him than Phil Jones and Chris Smalling. Left back is also a huge concern, but Ashley Young has been fairly decent this season. Arguments that he was the best left back in the league this year. So I think there's only one natural spot to upgrade right here, and they're going to take the best overall available center back, and that is going to be Jonathan Tah of Bayern Leverkusen. Very, very young, promising player. A lot of people see him as kind of like a Jerome Boateng clone. Partnership between Jonathan Tah and Eric Bailly for, the next decade. That could be something spicy. And with that, Manchester City and the champions of the Premier League are now finally on the clock. And there's not much to say about this team. It's completely stacked. It's completely loaded. Maybe a young center back to eventually replace Company, but I mean, he already has the likes of John Stones, who we bought last summer. So the main weakness of the side, I think is pretty obvious, is going to be the left back position. He's playing Fabian Delph right there, who's traditionally like a midfielder. He technically bought Mendy, but he was injured the whole entire season. And there is one prospect on the board that makes complete sense in this situation, and it's a player that Pep Guardiola has coached before. He has young Grimaldo. No longer over at Barcelona, but he started off in the Barcelona Academy, the La Masia. He's probably already familiar with the system. The player's already familiar with the coach. It's just a match made in heaven, and the rich get richer as Grimaldo gets to go ahead and battle out with Mendy to see who is going to be in this super team. And with that, that goes ahead and concludes the first round of the 2018 Premier League Draft. I have to go pee.
Go time wizard!
Now, the way that it works in the NFL, once a round ends, you start all the way back up at the top. So, since West Brom was the shittiest team of last season, they get to go ahead and start off round 2. And that's the order that it goes through round 3, round 4, round 5. We're only going to do 2 rounds because this is already taking long enough. But let's get into it. Round 2 has begun. Who is West Brom going to go ahead and take this time? With the remaining players available on the board, remember in round 1 they took Mr. Mbappe from PSG, and now they're going to go ahead and look for the best player available and what fits their needs. Once again, center back is a pressing need, but as you can see, their best midfielder right now is Mr. Barry, and he's all the way up at 37. So there is a need to go ahead and find a young replacement for a deep-lying playmaker, and there is no better youngster available in the world right now than Yuri Tielemans. He's got a nasty long shot, and he can definitely go ahead and spray those balls up top to Mr. Kellyan, who can run onto them. Now, Stoke City are on the clock in round 2. Stoke went Ousmane Dembele in round 1, and I think they're going to follow a similar model to West Bromwich Albion. They're going to shift Shaqiri out. They're going to move Joe Allen up to the cam position, and then they're going to go ahead and take the best available playmaker, and that is the youngster from PSG, Rabiot. Fantastic young midfielder. I think you can make a case for him above even Goretzka. I think he's in the same vein over there. He's been fantastic for PSG ever since he's broken into the first team. I think 2 really solid pickups for Stoke. And with that, now Southampton is on the clock. Of all the teams in the draft, I think Southampton has the most crucial choices right here because they're on the bubble. They could get relegated. The first player they took overall, very, very solid, Timo Werner from the Bundesliga. They can go a number of directions with the second pick, but I think they're over the moon that this player is still available. I think he's a good youngster that fits into the Southampton side perfectly. And they're going to take, with the third pick in the second round, Mr. Christian Pulisic, the American Dream. Christian Pulisic out on the right side, playmaking, and he's got a mean cross to him. He could also score a number of goals, and Timo Werner streaking down the middle on the counterattack. And then you got Redmond, who's no slouch either. He's not exactly slow. The outlook for the Southampton team suddenly looks a lot different, a lot brighter. And with that, Swansea is now on the clock. Swansea went offense with their first pick, picking up Marco Asensio, the wonder kid from Real Madrid in the first round. This second round, they're going to try to shore up that defense over there. Van der Horn is rated 73 overall at center back. No more. They are going to pick up one of the best available center back, and young Jimenez from Atletico Madrid. He's dynamic, he's young, extremely strong. He's not exactly the tallest, but he's going to do a lot to stop that leakage in the back. And with that, Huddersfield is now on the clock. They did a lot to solidify their defense by picking up Donnarumma. I think he's going to stand on his head, give him a couple clean sheets just by himself. So they're going to go for a little bit of firepower / defense. He is a little bit raw, only 73 rated overall, but Ryan Sessegnon has been tearing it up this season. Also offers a little bit of flexibility. If they want to play him at left back, they can, which will be an upgrade over Malone over here. And with that, West Ham is now on the clock. West Ham went defense with their first pick. They went Nicolas Sula, who's was the best young center back available, who's the first center back off the clock. There's still one brilliant young winger that is available. So with that, with the 6th pick in the second round, West Ham United are going to go ahead and take Balde Diao. Another one of these super speedy wingers. He's got 92 sprint speed. As you can see right here, he's got a decent finishing on him already at 80. Can help out with the goals. I think you pair him alongside the likes of Arnautovic, or you can play Arnautovic out on the wing and then put Andy Carroll in the middle or Antonio in the middle. You'll find enough goals between these three. Now Crystal Palace is on the clock. Crystal Palace went need in the first round, choosing Alban Lafont, the second best young keeper available, and they're going to go need again. They're going to upgrade. I don't know why they're playing MacArthur over on this left wing, but there's going to be a little bit of run on wingers over now. Balde Diao was in the last one, and now Kingsley Coman is going to go ahead and be joining this side. I think he fits in really well. You got Coman on the left side, you got Townsend on the right, you got Wilfried Zaha and Benteke up front. That's a very nice forward four going. And with that, Brighton is now on the clock. With the first pick, I think they got a little bit of a steal in picking out Thomas Lemar. And they're going to double up on offense. Licati has high in potential, but he hasn't reached it. Glenn Murray is a decent striker, but he's got a low ceiling. So we're going to take the best of both worlds right here, and we're going to pick up one of the best young striking prospects still available on the board, and that is Antonio Sanabria. The young Paraguayan has been highly touted for many, many years. I think a lot of people see him developing into a really great striker in maybe 2 to 3 years. Now, a team like Brighton, you're going to be fighting relegation probably every single season. Then getting goals is going to be a major issue. And now Watford is on the clock. Watford went defense in round 1, picking up De Ligt. I think he's widely considered one of the best young defenders in the world right now. And they're going to stick with a slightly defensive theme. They're going to strengthen their midfield. They're going to upgrade over Capoue by bringing in Julian Weigl of Borussia Dortmund. Very versatile player, very solid player. I don't think they're going to regret bringing him in. And with that, Bournemouth is now on the clock. Bournemouth swung for the fences offensively by picking up Malcolm. They're hoping that he can become like the next Neymar. And Lewis Cook is a brilliant young midfielder. He's great surging forward. I think he needs someone alongside him to pair and be a little bit more of that solid, calming presence. And we're going to go with another Borussia Dortmund midfielder. We're going to pick up Dahoud. And with that, Newcastle United is now on the clock. Newcastle might have gotten the steal of the draft and picking up Milinko Savic at the 11th overall pick in round 1. And they're going to get another absolute steal here in round 2. Somebody tell True Jordy, because this is going to be a dream come true. In fact, this is going to be mirroring Goal, The Dream Begins. What was that movie with Santiago Ramirez? Because we're going to put the little Mexican, Chucky Lozano, is going to be paired up with Milinko Savic. I think in this entire draft, considering where they are and the talent available, I think Milinko Savic and Chucky Lozano is the best pairing, or at least my favorite pairing. You're welcome, Newcastle. And now Leicester City is on the clock. Leicester, since their Magic season, have actually still been pretty decent at scoring goals. I know I went a little bit heavy by placing Gelson Martins, but I couldn't help myself. Tell me you don't want to see Gelson Martins and Jamie Vardy just marauding it up in the Premier League. And with Morgan getting up there in age, I believe he's 34, we're going to go ahead and upgrade there. So with the 12th pick in the second round, Leicester City is going to go ahead and select Rugani, the young center back from Juventus. Pair him alongside Maguire, and you got yourself a nice little partnership back there. I don't know, another magic season could be in the works for Leicester. And with that, Everton is now on the clock. All right, Everton in the first round picked up Quarantine Tolisso. He's going to do a lot to solidify that spine alongside being paired with Gay. So the player that they're going to pick up right here, I don't know if they play him right away, but I think it's going to be a frugal pick, and that is going to be Casper Dolberg out of Ajax. Lit up last year, struggled a little bit this year, but Ajax have a pretty good track record of producing strikers. Last two Ajax strikers to come over to the Premier League go by the name of Zlatan Ibrahimovic and Luis Suarez. And with that, Burnley is now on the clock. Burnley are going to be pretty sad right here. They probably wanted Dolberg because they wanted upgrades to one of their strikers up top. But since Dolberg is gone, they're going to go best player available, and this guy's still sitting here. And that's going to be Gonzalo Guedes. I probably mispronounced his name. Now, while he could play at the left mid, as you can see right here, he does offer versatility to play left mid, left wing, right mid, and striker. Very high in prospect, and I think he's probably the highest in potential still available left on the board. So if they really wanted to, they could play him up at striker. And with that, Arsenal is now on the clock. Arsenal picked up what I consider a steal here by nabbing Saul from Atletico Madrid in round 1. So we're going to focus on the left side of this formation. Left back is definitely a position of concern, but if you're going to only have 2 picks in this draft, you want to go ahead and try to get someone who's going to be a playmaker. Iwobi and Welbeck are nice out on that left side, but I'm going to add a little bit more talent here by bringing up Julian Brandt of Bayer Leverkusen. And highly touted is the next big thing out of Germany for quite a while. Don't know if he's really captured that moniker yet, but if Xhaka and Saul can hold down the spine of the team, I think adding in one more attacking player could really challenge and push them back up into that top 4 contention. And with that, Chelsea is now on the clock. Chelsea's first pick, we went Naby Keita. They're a very strong side already. Their default team already had everyone in the 80s or higher, so we're going to go to the problem position. We lost Diego Costa, and they haven't been able to replace him. They brought in the likes of Giroud, Alvaro Morata, but it hasn't really been working out. So we're going to go for the best young target man available, and that is young Schick out of the Cinderella story of the Champions League this year, Roma. 6'1", out of the Czech Republic, is 161 pounds, 22 years of age. He is left-footed, which is interesting. Has 4-star skillness. Can also play out on the wing if you really need him to. And with that, Spurs is on the clock. Spurs got an amazing player at the 17th overall pick with Joshua Kimmich over here. But with the team so loaded, I think they're just going to go luxury right here. I think a long pressing issue over at Tottenham is that they haven't found a guy who can take a little bit of the weight off of Harry Kane and slot in there in case he's injured, just like this season. So what they're going to pick right here is Serge Gnabry. Ex-Arsenal player, I think he's on loan at like Hertha Berlin or somewhere, but he's technically going to go back to Bayern Munich next season, and he has been tearing up the Bundesliga this year. On fire, he'd also offer versatility playing on the wings and even a little bit at the cam position. I think he fits in very well with this Tottenham side. The only issue is where does he get minutes in this team? And with that, Liverpool is now on the clock. First round, they picked up one of the best young midfielders in the world in Leon Goretzka. And the man with the most question marks on this roster is this dude. Karius is shaky, man. I just do not believe in him, and I think it's probably the wisest to use this pick on finding another good young keeper. So they're going to go ahead and bring in young Kepa. The young Spaniard already higher rated than Karius in the game. He's already 82 and he's got a potential of like 88. Healthy competition and that keeper spot I think is good, and I don't think Karius is a long-term answer. And Kepa could be the final piece of the puzzle. And with that, Manchester United are now on the clock. Once again, a lot of firepower, a lot of money spent going forward on this team. But being a Manchester United fan and knowing the history of our center backs and just how thin the depth is at that position, Eric Bailly has yet to play a complete full season for Manchester United. I think they double up right here on defense. So they go ahead and bring in the young Skriniar, I don't know how to say his name. The young Slovakian center back is currently playing over at Inter. He's having, a very nice season. And I get it, he's not from the same country, but has that kind of Vidic Ferdinand feel. And hopefully a consistent solution for Jose Mourinho. And that leaves the champions of the Premier League, Manchester City, with the final pick in the 2018 Premier League draft. In the first round, they got great value at a position of need in picking up young Grimaldo, who has already gone through the Barcelona system. So with the final pick in the 2018 draft, they're going to go absolute luxury here. They're going to take the player with the highest end potential. And he's raw, but a lot of people know his name. If you play career mode, you know about Barco. Tell me if you've heard this before. 5'6", Argentinian, technically gifted winger under Pep Guardiola. Remember the last time that happened? Yep, I do too. So that's the final pick that you're gonna get in there. So that goes ahead and concludes the draft. But will it change anything? We're gonna go ahead, we're gonna take these teams, these newly minted teams, put them in the Premier League, run it through a season, and see where everyone goes ahead and falls out. And theoretically, I don't think we'll see a real shit at the top. I still feel like the big boys are gonna be challenging for the league. I think the question that we should be looking for is, can 2 out of the bottom 3 get unrelegated or make it out of relegation zone? My prediction is 2 out of those 3 will make it out of the relegation zone. You guys can go ahead and vote up in the eye things over here. If I get my prediction wrong, if only one of those teams or none of those teams make it out of the relegation zone, then I will give to you guys either $20 in V-Bucks or $20 in FIFA points. But let's go ahead, let's sim it up to the end of the season and see where everyone stands.
Go time wizard!
Alright, we sit on June 1st of 2018, end of the season. Let's go ahead and take a look at the player stats, see if any of the youngsters have made an impact on the league. Alright, interesting. What the fuck? Eriksson scored 23 goals, Tottenham. Alright, looks like Tottenham might have won the goddamn league. If we look for youngsters in here, we do see that Kylian Mbappe is all the way down in 13th place. We go over to assists. Henrik Mkhitaryan gets the golden ball. But if we look down the list, are we going to see anyone else on here? Maybe from the youngsters? Only Kingsley Coman is in 23rd place with 5 assists, which isn't bad. And then we go over to clean sheets. David De Gea gets 18 clean sheets. Hugo Lloris with 15. Interesting enough, Lafont, who was the second keeper taken, actually got more clean sheets than Donnarumma. So let's go ahead and take a look. It looks like it's going to be Manchester United and Tottenham near the top. Oh, okay. Manchester United have gone ahead and won it comfortably by 13 points. 93 points. They lost 1 game all season. Holy shit, it's Man City, Spurs, and Chelsea who are in the top 4. Although, you can see it right there, Leicester really made a huge jump. Wow, Liverpool really fell down right there. And then we have to see if my prediction is correct, and it was! Not 2, but all 3 teams that were in the relegation zone, that was West Brom, Southampton, and Stoke City, make it comfortably out of the relegation zone. In fact, West Brom jumped from the bottom of the league into the top 10. But that is massively impressive. Well, I got my prediction right. Don't got to give away anything over here. But yeah, that's pretty much going to conclude for me. If you want to check out other FIFA 18 experiments, go ahead and click over here. Dings and Poos, you want to check out my series where I take Donald Trump and I ruin all of football. Go ahead and click over here, Dings and Poos. My name is BMOnus. Hopefully you guys are having a wonderful day. Remember, stay yourself, stay humble. Until next time, stay chubby.